the writing is considerably different. Like, the style of jokes almost rely more on... Have you noticed that, like, Plankton can't just be Plankton? He has to be, like, trying to steal the Krabby Patty formula or escaping from jail. Like, that's the character role he's been contained around. Sandy always has to be interested in science.
She's always smart and just does random things.
Like, it's a lot more shallow than it used to be. There's a lot less, like, clever humor.
Yeah, because the last episode I saw, it was just like, oh, hey, remember Nosferatu exists? Like,
the obscure joke to Nosferatu in a kids show. Remember when we watched Nosferatu in high school? Yep. And we were like, this is SpongeBob, remember Nosferatu?
Maybe I wasn't there that day.
Oh, we watched
I don't remember that.
You know what? Maybe you had graduated by that point.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, it depends on the year.
I think I've made a horrible mistake. I think I have the skull activated that disables aim assist.
Aim assist? Like there's an actual skull that does that?
Yeah, give me a second. Oh no, we're good. Okay. I thought I made a horrible mistake for a minute. Yeah, we're playing on the Master Chief Collection. Because I don't have immediate access to the original Xbox 360... Or Xbox 360. The original Xbox version, we're playing every Halo level. Yeah. And there's the introduction out of the way.
There we go. But yeah, now we're up to the library, the infamous library.
This level's, like, pretty bad. Even Bungie is notably not happy with this level. They've spoken about regrets that they have with the level. I mean, the way that they handled it.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. I was thinking about it earlier. It kind of makes sense to me because this is the point in the game when it takes everything you learned from the previous levels and it introduces a new thing, facing the flood and having levels where you practically have to run away most of the time.
Oh yeah, no, I agree in there, and that there's...
Because this level ends with you running after the index, and I personally find that hard without running past the flood and ignoring them.
The level, I think, does a good job of introducing the new enemy type. I think the problem isn't necessarily the idea, it's more so the fact that it goes on for so long.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's like at a certain point you're like, okay, I get it. I get what the flood are, but then the level just keeps going and it won't stop.
And then the ones with rocket launchers show up.
Which are the world's worst idea.
And then you'll have to see them later on when you go back outside in the snow.
A lot of people really hate two betrayals as well as keys. I don't mind those levels. I actually kind of like them.
I'm not that big a fan of two betrayals, but I don't know, like I'll still go through it. Like there's certain parts that I like, but it's one of those levels where you just have to have heavy anticipation, like Quarantine Zone or Cortana.
I like primarily in this level, I don't think a lot of people talk about, that this level makes a lot of guns that previously didn't shine, suddenly shine in the sandbox. Like the assault rifle now has a really good roll, in that it's really good at clearing out the little floodlings that are jumping around.
Oh yeah.
Or the Needler is ridiculously good at clearing
you can
out.
Just trace them.
When you don't even need to aim at them generally, just send the needles out into the air and they'll find their targets. And even if they do attach to, like, one floodling, it will explode and cause the chain reaction regardless, so...
Oh, yeah. I also love how, you know, they're just kind of like space zombies, so they're carrying every kind of weapon around, so, you know, it really encourages a lot of weapon revolving. I really like that element.
Oh,
like,
well,
all
that
Halo
it
games.
keeps you constantly supplied
Yeah.
with both factions' weaponry.
Exactly, because I find that the equivalent...
It's not like, yeah, like the problem that Halo has notoriously, where you spawn with a UNSC weapon and by the end of the level, you're just carrying Covenant guns.
Yeah. I mean, that said, I think in Combat Evolved, you know, it's the whole, like, what I just said with the Flood, and then I was gonna say in Halo 2, it's more with the quarreling factions, because then they introduce, you know, brute weapons and stuff like that.
You say brute weapons, you mean the two brute weapons.
Yeah, the two brute weapons.
Yeah, the Bungie turning the plasma rifle red. And then a grenade launcher. Man. I mean, notoriously, Bungie had a lot of problems with the brutes. Like, basically, the brutes were never going to be part of the gameplay loop. That was kind of a last-minute thing, and that's part of why you see brutes running around with, like, human shotguns, because literally they did not have enough time to give the brutes their own set of weapons. So, all we have is a brute grenade launcher. What else can we do? I don't know, take the plasma rifle and just color it red. We'll call it a brute plasma rifle. That's all we have time for.
Yeah, just make it overheat faster. But yeah, that said, I like that they made up for it by making the Mauler.
Yeah, Halo 3's brute guns are a lot of fun. I like the Spiker, I like the Mauler. Yeah. I wish the Spiker would return.
Same.
I hate that out of every gun to return in Halo 5, the frickin' brute plasma rifle came back. Like the red plasma rifle, that not even the blue one, the red one?
I mean, at most it's good for a quick, like, confrontation, but that's it. You might as well have something just as good, if not better, like with you, like a shotgun or something. Or a pistol.
Also, the first appearance of the Halo shotgun. Or, that's a lie. It was in the previous level. I retract everything I just said.
Yeah, I don't think it's the first appearance.
Also, I was thinking that the Halo shotgun looks super weird in Halo 2 and Halo Combat Evolved in Halo 3. Let me try that sentence one more time.
Okay,
I think that the
ahead.
shotgun looks really weird in Combat Evolved and in Halo 2. And just today I realized what it was. Because if you switch to the new graphics, it's using the Reach model.
Yeah.
Look, the flashlight on the side. Like, look, it looks like Baron. It looks like a tube that you're holding.
Hold on.
When you have a little flashlight on the side of it, it adds a little bit more to the silhouette of the gun.
Yeah.
That's what I think has been missing.
Yeah, because the classic one, it has more of an, like, a classic Earth style to it, you know, where it's just, it's plain, it's steel, it's kind of shaped like
they
shotgun, but
they don't have a lot of detail to work with, not a lot of geometry.
Yes,
they have to
reality.
reserve their polygons.
In reality, but I do like that they use the Reach shotgun, because I think it looks good at this angle.
Well, I don't think a lot of people give Halo Combat Evolved Anniversary enough credit, in that, you know, a criticism is that that's the plasma pistol from Halo Reach, that's the shotgun from Halo Reach, like, there's a lot of just
There's Cortana from Halo 3.
Those are Flood things from Halo 3, like, a lot of people think they use the term lazy and they throw that around. Saber Interactive has been pretty vocal about the fact that they had less than a year to make Combat Evolved Anniversary, which isn't unusual for remasters, because at that point you already have the game made. It's all art direction at that point. But imagine, like, this super ambitious idea of being able to swap between graphics on the fly. You have to develop the code for it, which is super ambitious. And then on top of that, you also have to, like, kind of, within less than a year, you need to kind of be like, all right, what models look fine? you know, in that
Yeah.
we probably, like, the Reach shotgun looks pretty good.
Oh,
Do
yeah,
we
so does the
need to
plasma
make
pistol.
a new model that will never be used again? Just use the Reach shotgun.
Yeah. I like it because it kind of like
Oh,
adds
no.
continuity too. It's like, oh hey, old
I think
timey Covenant.
I survived the fall into this pit.
How?
I don't think I'm supposed to be down here. Let me kill myself. Here we go. I'll just respawn up near you.
Okay.
Well, and then also there's some of that. I understand that they were trying to provide a bit more continuity between the Fall of Reach and Combat Evolved, but a majority of it is like, look, if you're on a limited budget and you're on a limited, like, time scale, use what you got. Certain models look fine. Like, you don't need to waste a ton of time making a new model that will only be used in this one game and never again.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly didn't mind at all, but yeah.
And I think Halo Combat Evolved, the anniversary, looks really good. It
I'm
doesn't
glad that it switches this fast because I
on the
didn't
Xbox
like that
One.
it took so long in the 360 version.
It obviously doesn't look like Combat Evolved. You know, it's not very faithful to Combat Evolved's art style. But the way I kind of reconcile with that is like, well, here's a different artist's interpretation of the original
Yeah,
Combat
it's
Evolved.
kind of nice.
And it does look kind of like if Halo Reach was Combat Evolved.
Yeah.
Like the super
really like
gritty military design of everything.
Well, and especially because it was originally released with the new Reach multiplayer.
Yeah, the multiplayer update
Yeah.
for Halo Reach.
And I really like the firefight one.
Oh yeah, the firefight map.
Yeah.
It's on one of the locations where you find all the Marines.
Yeah, the second mission.
They even added some Marines just hanging out on that firefight map.
Yeah, I always give them overpowered weapons and see how long they survive.
I feel like people don't give... Oh, no,
shit.
that was a mistake.
That's okay.
That was a mistake.
Wait, it gets worse.
Oh no. I feel like people don't give Halo's Marines enough credit. Give those guys a precision weapon, a sniper rifle, battle rifle, anything, and they're fine.
Rocket launcher.
For the rest of the level, they're fine.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if they get into the passenger seat and they have something like a sniper rifle or a rocket launcher, they're good. They're fine. They can take care of themselves.
Exactly.
In some cases, it's smarter to give up your rocket launcher and just give it to the NPC. He'll be able to handle himself with it.
Well, what would you say are of your favorite levels of all Halo games that do that? Because right now I'm thinking of the ODST levels where, you know, you're playing as Buck. It's the first Buck mission, and you run into those Marines, and they give you the advice to duck into the buildings to like sneak around Covenant.
I think Halo 3's the Storm, Halo 3's the Covenant, Halo 4's Infinity, you know, the forest level.
Oh!
There's a lot of NPC interaction in that level where you have a lot of room to screw around with the Marines, give them different guns and stuff.
I really like the Spartan 4 AIs.
Yeah, well, the
campaign.
Spartan 4s are even fucking better because they have shields.
Oh, yeah.
They're like Marines, but they have shields, so they're awesome whenever they show up in the campaign missions, because you can just, like, give them all sorts of stuff, and they're good forever.
Oh, yeah.
I even didn't mind the first mission of Spartan Ops.
Oh, I love Spartan.
What's it called? Land grab?
I believe that's correct.
Where...
Might be right.
one of my memories of a land grab is coming to your house, and we had those two, Nicole and...
Sarah? Or...
Sarah.
Was it
And
her?
I remember you were trying to get them to play land grab split screen. And I remember it being super awkward primarily because I know what you were trying to do in that when you have a friend over and you're like, hey, play firefight. I'm gonna give us like rocket launchers and unlimited ammo. But you can't do that in Spartan Ops. And there's a bit of critical thinking involved in which you have to complete
yeah.
objectives. So I just remember them being super confused because
Yeah.
it wasn't just kill the men.
Yeah, I was like, teach them about the loadouts that I
Yeah.
already had set up.
Yeah, so I remember them just being completely disinterested and bored, and I'm like, man, if you had just loaded up Reach and loaded up Firefight and given them rockets
That
with
is
unlimited
true.
ammo.
That is true. Man, I still had a lot of fun with Halo 4.
Halo 4 is a pretty good
It's
game.
new and interesting once it came out.
Halo 4 is a pretty good game, and I stand by that. It took me a solid year to come around to that
Yeah,
opinion.
because there was a period where I felt really unsure about it, but I don't know, every time I play through it, it's like, yeah, I guess I've been good at it.
The Sentinels are attacking us for some reason. Were you attacking the Sentinels? Is that why they're mad at us?
My bad. I know they're gonna attack us later, I was like,
They're
might
in
as
another
well.
level!
That is true.
You're not getting the jump on them. Like, the narrative isn't gonna change.
I'm sorry, I was staring at Guilty Spark, I was like, oh yeah, you're probably gonna get them to
You're like,
attack
you're
me.
one guilty
Spark.
spark. Okay.
Look, he's already an enemy.
Is he?
Yeah, at least to me.
Oh, he is. Yeah, he's showing up as an enemy. Why is he still helping us?
Right. I actually did a playthrough on the original Xbox when I was a kid with my cousin where I just did that. We were like, screw the robot, he becomes
Skill the rogue.
he's a
Screw the
bad guy the
robot.
whole
He's
time.
he's a guilty robot.
Yeah.
Come on. Alrighty. Oh my god, they were all waiting on the side of the door.
My god. Speaking of which, I still think the Halo 2 Flood are the scariest. Just to face it in game.
I think the Halo 3 Flood are the scariest.
I don't know, to me they feel like they're too easy. Like even if they're really hard and I'm just like really bad and just dying a lot, like something about it, I don't know, there's just too many ways to dismantle them.
Well, I think that's what freaked them out. What freaked me out about them was that they were just like collapsing at the seams.
Yeah,
They
it
were
was
like
interesting.
corpses.
It was a very like, it was almost kind of like
Especially
a
the
theme.
music. The music was so choking and like
Oh yeah.
there was like no room to breathe. Like I the other day I was scrolling through YouTube, like just last night actually, and I didn't even know that the soundtrack, I think it's Gravemind in Halo 3, it's got a subliminal message in it when you reverse it and slow down. And it's like, basically, side by side we walk as one, the humans and the elites will fall, Earth will be... It's like subliminal
man.
stuff like that that's really
Oh.
freaky and creepy and hidden inside the soundtrack. Yeah, it's the shit like that that freaks me out about the Halo 3 Flood. I remember playing Floodgate and being just, like, I wanted none of it when I saw one of the humans running at me with, like, the head bobbling to the side, like, just dangling off of the body. And, like, just completely realizing that, like, oh my god, like, it hitting me all at once, how freaky the Flood are.
with 3? you mean?
Yeah, with 3.
Yeah. Oh, when they would just fall apart, the heads would just roll around everywhere.
Because the graphics were, like, cute enough in Halo CE and Halo 2 to where it was... I didn't fully comprehend how creepy the Flood are until Halo 3, seeing it in, like, that level of fidelity. Seeing, like, a Marine get pounced on by one of the little Floodlings and then, like, mutate in front of me, and then his, like, head hanging off to the side as his body sprints at me and tries to kill me. Like, it freaked me out.
Oh man, yeah. Halo 3 is really good. I forget what I was gonna say about Halo 2 though. Oh, I forgot what I was gonna say.
Gravemind.
Oh yeah, the Gravemind.
They originally planned a level to introduce the Gravemind. It was going to be this level called Forerunner Tank. And the idea, or not obviously not that that's what it's going to be called, but that's what the code name for it was. And the idea was you were kind of making your way through, like, Forerunner tunnels and stuff like that. and you'd eventually end up on like a massive elephant-style forerunner contraption that would be moving on its own. And the grave, it would be a timed mission where you'd have to beat the mission in a certain amount of time, because the grave mind was kind of like collapsing the level in on itself and like growing and expanding and talking to you as you played the level.
I would like that, because
Well, they didn't have enough time to finish the mission. That's why they had to do a cutscene.
Well, I'm saying the elephant and the mammoth were introduced, so I guess they still technically could, if there was ever another future Flood return. What that I don't know about.
I'd like to see the Flood return. I'd like to see Halo not be rated T for teen anymore.
Yeah.
Like, let's have some violence. Let's have some Flood back. Come on, guys. I see a lot of people like say, oh, Halo was never that violent. To be, it's like, have you ever like shot up a hallway full of grunts and seen the blood on the floor and the walls and the ceiling? Like, Halo's pretty violent, dude.
Oh yeah, like I've said before, playing it as a kid, I used to just go around to the bodies and just paint the hallways, because I'm like, oh, you're purple, you're blue.
Yeah, when you got like an elite on the ground and you start smacking them over the head with like your gun, and like the blood would just spray all over the place and it would stay there.
Yeah. I think somehow, earlier I was gonna say, I think there's somehow to sever the heads off of these Flood, actually.
There's if you it's not if you sever the head, it's if you shoot off both arms. Bungie and their wisdom forgot to think about what if the Flood just has no way to attack the player character. So if you just shoot off both arms, it's your Flood buddy, and it'll just follow you around and stare at you because it has no way to attack you.
We already killed some of those already. Well, I saw at least one.
Yeah, so if you can shoot off both of their arms, they're just your buddies. Yeah, Combat Evolved Anniversary looks pretty good.
Oh yeah. But I like the original, like, dark spookiness.
Oh yeah, no, like, it's definitely.
Like, when is Halo gonna get really scary again? Because like, sure, in like 5 Guardians, like there was, you know, that level with the hunters and stuff, and I thought that was pretty spooky.
And then
but then
that
it was just
it.
it was just done. It was over, and I was like, I don't know. I thought, you know, Halo was usually good at embedding more spook.
What's also like annoying, like, you can't exactly build atmosphere very well when you're a squad-based shooter where you have 3 dudes glued to your hip at all times.
Yeah, I wish they made it so there'd be like hunter traps, like the worms would just come out and like grab you or your teammate, and then you'd be screwed and you'd have to like call for them.
I hope Infinite drops the whole squad thing entirely.
Yeah, no.
I don't want that to be a thing now for Halo. At
Yeah.
all times, every level, there's always 4 of you.
Yeah, because its execution I felt was kind of iffy. Like there was a lot of parts.
Pretty,
Yeah, I mean there were a lot of parts where I felt the concepts were very interesting, but like, I don't know, if you're gonna have them come and save you, they should come and save you.
Well, and the idea of like, okay, if you have to center your screen, like aim your crosshair at a thing and then press up on the D-pad to make your AI do it, at that point you can just shoot the guy.
Yeah.
You're already aiming at him. Just shoot him.
Yeah, I mean, I tried to make a pace out of it and see if I could just spot places to send them to like distract enemies or, you know, just do anything. Because, I don't know, Halo 5's map like layouts are very interesting because they're wide in places where I don't expect them to. Like narrow where I don't expect them to be. It's very new.
I wish that there was a skull in Halo 5 that disabled your teammates, so it was just you by yourself alone.
That's actually a brilliant idea.
I'm surprised that there isn't a skull in Halo 5 that disables AI squad mates. Because I'd like to see how the game plays when you don't have your buddies.
Yeah, because you can't really find out.
I'd imagine it would probably be similar to Spartan Ops in that there would be problems where you have way too many enemies to deal with.
Yeah.
Because the game was clearly balanced around the idea of 4 Spartans in a level at any given time.
Yeah, no, I've played the only Spartan Ops I've played recently has been like flying solo, and it's just like, oh yeah, Team Crimson or whatever, like, and I'm just one like dude, and I'm just
Yeah, there was a
not a
game
team.
developers conference talk with one of the people who did Spartan Ops, and he was basically saying that some of the data that they found very interesting about, because basically they can, as we play the games, they can gather data on how we're playing, how many people are playing, and stuff from individual users. And they were surprised to see that a majority of people were playing Spartan Ops by themselves. Because behind the scenes, they balanced Spartan Ops with 4 players at all times. Because they thought that the mode would be a super popular co-op mode. Turns out, it was... a majority of people played it by themselves with no friends.
I mean, that's the thing. Did they carry over that whole feature where you can do matchmaking with it?
Yeah, there was matchmaking with Spartan Ops, but
That's
not enough.
on MCC.
It's not on MCC, and even with Halo 4, not enough people used it. And the guy even said at the Game Developers Conference that in hindsight, if they were to remake Halo 4, they'd redo Spartan Ops and balance it around a single-player experience and then scale up from there as you add players, instead of from the base designing it around 4 players at all times.
That'd be pretty interesting. I would be down to see a new Spartan Ops.
I mean, they probably would never do that.
Yeah,
which
probably
sucks.
not. I mean, I wanted to say that...
Spartan Ops is a good idea,
Yeah.
man. Do it again. Have
Yeah.
another go. It's not a bad idea.
Because the original thing I really enjoyed about it was that...
It was
Yeah.
Halo 4 Campaign Part 2.
Yeah.
There was more Halo campaign.
Exactly. Not only was it an extension of the story, but, you know, it really kind of like gave a window into like a Spartan 4 power fence.
Remember at the
kind of thing.
beginning when I told you that the problem with this level is at some point you're like, okay, I know what the Flood are, and then the level keeps going? We
Yeah.
hit that point 10 minutes ago.
Oh yeah, I definitely noticed because
Yeah, now we're starting to see the, like, when we started this level, we're like, oh, Flood, dude.
we might be getting close to rocket
Library's a
launchers.
pretty good level, and now we're like, oh no, I remember why people hate this level.
Yeah.
This is insane that we're still playing, and that it's not over yet.
Oh goodness.
There are only so many hallways we can walk down.
At least it's just one hallway at a time. Like it's not like an actual maze or anything.
Oh jeez. Could you
That would
imagine if they wanted
suck.
us to navigate a gigantic maze?
With a bunch of dead ends that had a whole bunch of more Flood show up. But yeah, I'm glad that everything resulted the way it does. Because Halo overall is just
I wouldn't have
lifetimes
it
of
any
fun.
other way.
lifetime.
The originally, if I remember right, the original lore for the Flood, from before Combat Evolved released, when they were just talking about it,
Oh,
one of the pieces of lore about the Flood was that it was a Covenant biological weapon. This was before, like, because the dark secret that nobody wants to admit, like, all the people who were like, 343 ruined Halo, they ruined Bungie's vision. Here's the dark secret, Bungie didn't have a vision. Before Combat Evolved released, if I remember right, the Flood were essentially a Covenant bioweapon that would be deployed on planets, and just the population of the planet would destroy themselves. So the Flood originally would just appear alongside Covenant, with, like, no context given. It's just, you
instead
just,
of fighting each other.
yeah, instead of fighting each other, they were just Covenant.
That's crazy.
Which is considerably more lame.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple of pieces of lore. This is me pulling it out of my ass. I feel like I might be misremembering with this one. Another one was probably that, if I remember right, I remember reading that it was like just a thing on the ring, nothing special. It was just a parasitic life form, nothing consequential, nothing apocalyptic. It was just a thing you encountered on the ring. The Covenant were still the bad guys. And eventually they got to the point where they decided that, oh no, this like zombie creature that we made at some point in development because we thought it would be cool, now it's actually, it almost destroyed the galaxy, I guess. Yeah,
I mean, it's a nice pairing reason, because, you know, Halo.
What's amazing, given this game's, like, weird development, that it's as cohesive as it is, because the game was essentially, like, we wanted to have 22 levels, we only have, like, 12 levels, or whatever. I forgot how many levels Halo has. How can we make a story out of all the levels that we had to, you know, when keeping in mind all the levels we had to cut? And at some point, even some of Microsoft had to write part of the story. That's where you get the, this cave is not a natural formation.
Oh, yeah, even though it's, like...
even though it's clearly...
Yeah.
Because, like, the people at Microsoft didn't have context. They didn't know that, oh, you mean so a Forerunner cave.
There's so many interesting results in so many games.
What, that it was
from, like,
accidentally a really good game? In spite of everything going against it?
Yeah. Nowadays, there's just accidentally bad games.
I feel like you say accidentally bad games. I feel like bad games are never an accident.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it all depends on what gets done. You know, I still like Mass Effect 3, even though there is that portion of it that kind of almost feels empty, but then you know,
I wouldn't
there's
say
so much
Mass
stuff.
Effect 3 is a bad game.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Plus, you know, there's enough, like,
it's my
DLC
second
there.
favorite. It's my second favorite in the series. With Mass Effect 1 being my first favorite. Yes, I know, that's unusual for people to have the opinion that Mass Effect 2 is their least favorite in the trilogy.
That's my most favorite, actually.
What I didn't like about Mass Effect 2 and replaying it recently, and this is entirely subjective, it is not a universal opinion, and I understand why people think differently.
Of course.
I realized that it was talk to a person, then go into Gears of War cover-based shooting, then talk to a person, Gears of War cover-based shooting, and once I recognized that pattern, it began to get incredibly tedious. I began to lament leaving my ship because I knew that meant that I would have to have a Gears of War cover-based shooting level.
That's pretty fair.
Where I liked with Mass Effect, even as janky as it was, the first Mass Effect, even as awkward and stiff and clunky, I liked that I could land on a planet and never pull a trigger.
Yep. That's a pretty fair thing. Even though the second one is my favorite, I will say that the third one probably has my favorite combat.
Oh, the third one's combat is great.
Yeah. Although that's kind of neck and neck for me when it comes to Andromeda as well.
Andromeda's combat is pretty good as well.
Oh, yeah. Oh my god. It's just, they're so very, like, different from each other, but they're both just as good.
Well, it's weird that, like, Mass Effect Andromeda is just Halo 5's gameplay. Remember? It has ground pound. It has aim down the sights while you're in the air to activate your hover ability.
Yeah.
It has a thruster pack
kind of
for
weird.
But the difference is, I think in Andromeda, it actually worked. Where in Halo 5, I think it just made the game unnecessarily sweaty and complicated.
Yeah. That I can also agree. I don't really mind the climbing, although I do prefer automatic climbing.
In Mass Effect?
No, in Halo 5.
Yeah, some people don't mind the clamber, and I understand why they don't mind the clamber. The sprinting, like, could you imagine the library if we had sprint? I mean, you could think about...
Climb up this
you could think about, oh, well, sprint would be awesome because I could outrun the flood. But also keep in mind, that means you can't fire your gun while on the move. In order to move at max speed, you have to lower your gun and be unable to shoot. You know, like moving backwards and firing would not be max speed like it is in this game. So much of the pacing would be broken if sprint was introduced.
Yeah. Even though I constantly tell myself that it's a really dumb idea that wouldn't work out, I sometimes wonder if it would work out if they had kind of like a generalized jet mode kind of thing instead of sprint, or maybe as well as sprint. So if you're running back, instead of being like, oh no, I'm running back, I'm going too slow, I don't know what's behind me, you can go into like a jet mode and just do your that like Spartan 4 thing. Or
but at that point, why not just not have sprints and just so you can move at max speed while firing your gun?
It could be a good replacer for sprint, and I also wonder maybe combining it with like a jetpack.
Oh my god!
We're
at the end of the level.
Of reaches. Oh yeah, we are.
We're at the end of the level. Think, fuck.
Run, just.
We're done. Goodbye, the library. Goodbye forever.
Oh no.
Yes, we're done. We never have to. Fuck this dumb level. I hate this level so much.
Oh, I think the level
I'm
hates
so
us
happy
too.
it's over. It's over. Halo, it's finished.
No, I think we're just getting started.
Oh my god.
It's still the first game.
Oh my god. See, that would have been hilarious to say in the previous level 343 Guilty Spark. Like, Halo, it's because that level wasn't very good, and it's like, it's finished. And then you go, no, I think we're just getting started, and then we load into the library.
Oh yeah. Oh man. When I was watching that, I was actually in Australia at the time when I first saw that.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, and I was like, oh shit.
There you go, Guilty Spark.
Oh, look how guilty. Oh, he's so guilty. He disappeared.